just to give a little bit of background and context to the Ban the Box campaign for those of you who don't already know the campaign well. As I mentioned, we launched the campaign in October last year with the aim of creating a fairer opportunity for people with criminal convictions to be assessed for jobs on merit before their convictions were taken into account. And in order to do that, we're asking UK employers to do two things. We're asking them to remove the default tick box on job application forms, whether that's online or paper forms. And we're also importantly asking them to make an informed decision about when and how they ask for disclosure of criminal convictions, if at all. And part of this session today is about helping employers make that informed decision and particularly how to respond to that decision. So you may be asking yourselves, what's wrong with the tick box? We know from research that 3/4 of employers admit to using the tick box to make a selection between candidates or to screen out candidates. There's really high levels of reoffending in the country today, and we have over 9.2 million people in the UK who actually have a criminal conviction, and 1/5 of everyone who's claiming job seekers allowance has an unspent criminal conviction as well. So this isn't a niche issue. This isn't something that employers can disregard and strike off as not being that part of their responsibility. We're concerned that 1 in 7 employers said that they would reject any applicants with a criminal record, irrespective of whether the offence or the criminal conviction was actually relevant in any way to the role that they're recruiting for. And the box itself acts as a very blunt tool in the sense that it gives no one the opportunity to contextualise or explain some of the context around their criminal convictions and how they may have progressed since then, or really enable the employer to make a reasonable judgment about whether that person's convictions do genuinely pose a risk to the role that they're recruiting for. And then from the applicant's perspective, we know from our experience through our Ready for Work programme that people who have criminal convictions are often put off from applying for jobs when they see that tick box, because their experience is that once that box is ticked, typically they don't hear back from employers, or they don't have any sense of how that information is being treated, and in some cases it may even encourage them to withhold that information or lie about their convictions, which doesn't do either employers or applicants any good. And finally, and really importantly, many of the employers that we work with report having found some of their best and most loyal employees by suspending judgment and allowing people a chance. The reality is that many people who have already paid for their mistakes continue to be punished and denied the opportunity to move on to contribute to society through employment. And we think that's something that needs to change, and that's at the heart of the campaign. So today, in today's webinar, we're going to be focusing around that point once an applicant has disclosed a criminal conviction. And I think the first thing to emphasise at this stage is it's not just about the risk assessment. There's a number of other things to consider. Firstly, it's about remembering the applicant and making sure that there's an individual, you understand there's an individual that's going through this process. So be aware of the fact that if you're asking for information, you should really be telling applicants how and why it will be treated in the way that it will be. It's very likely that this is a difficult thing for an individual to disclose, so keeping them informed and being transparent about how decisions are being made is really important. Secondly, in terms of equipping recruiters, it's hugely important that people who are making the hiring decisions have the right level of training support that enables them to assess the information they're being given. So by giving them the right tools and information to guide their decision, employers are reducing the likelihood that hiring managers may be taking decisions on an uninformed or a sort of blanket approach to people with convictions and would feel more confident in their decision-making approach with that extra information, which is why I think on this third point around deciding whether to hire, why it's so important that creating and sharing an approach that works for the business and is based on assessment of real risk and relevance is conducted by every employer and shared throughout all of the people that need to have that approach. And then finally, once the decision is made, again, it's about keeping the applicants informed, explaining the outcome clearly to them, and then also thinking about who else needs to know what information is being disclosed and what decisions are being taken and why. And I know that some of our speakers today are going to touch on that and bring that to life a little bit more for you all. So just one thing I really wanted to emphasise before I hand over to Scott is that of the 15 companies that have already banned the box, covering 175,000 employees, each one of those companies has developed an approach that works for them and the nature of their business and the culture of their organisation. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So today I'm really happy that 2 of the companies that have adopted the campaign and signed up to support their campaign are going to share their experience.